I was lying in bed, scrolling online, when I came across a viral post. What do I do if my wife only seems to like my body? I figured it was just engagement bait, but I clicked on it out of curiosity. The comments section was full of people calling the original poster a humblebragger. Others were giving him advice on how to use his body to win his wife's heart. I was getting into it when my husband walked out of the bathroom. He was wearing a leather collar with a little bell on it. What do I do if my wife only seems to like my body? We've been married for 3 years, and I'm starting to feel like my wife is only with me for my body. When I try to talk to her, she'll just give me a nod or a one-word answer and go right back to work. But if I walk around shirtless after a shower, her eyes light up, and she'll come over and get all cuddly. So, does love just fade? Or did she only ever love me for my abs and my body? I raised an eyebrow. Was this some new kind of clickbait? It was definitely out there. I scrolled down, and the comments section was a goldmine. Humble brag. This is a straight-up humble brag. Bro, you're just here to show off, aren't you? OP replied, seriously, I'm not. I'm really anxious about this. I feel like we don't have an emotional connection anymore. Emotional connection? LMAO. Roommates by day, lovers by night. Do you know how many people would kill for that? OP replied, but I want her to love me for more than just my body. Was this guy actually jealous of his own physique? Then again, he had a point. A healthy marriage should have both. Dude, have you ever heard of physical attraction? Getting her to like your body is half the battle. Now you just have to make her so obsessed she can't live without it. OP replied, you're right. Thanks. I'm gonna go find my wife right now. Just as I was enjoying the drama, the bathroom door clicked open. A warm cloud of steam drifted into the room. David emerged, his hair half dry, his upper body bare. He had a towel wrapped around his waist. Droplets of water trickled down his well-defined abs and disappeared into the towel. My eyes instinctively scanned his body. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, and a full set of pecs, abs, and biceps. Hey, wait a second. He was wearing something around his neck. My vision's not great, so I couldn't see it clearly. He cleared his throat and slowly walked toward me. I could hear the faint jingle of a bell. Hold on. Was he wearing a collar with a bell? I cleared my throat, forcing myself to look at his face. All done? He grunted in response, his voice husky and relaxed from the shower. My gaze drifted back down to the thing around his neck. I couldn't help but ask. Did you buy that yourself? He nodded, the tips of his ears turning a faint shade of pink. I found it hilarious and reached out to flick the little bell. It made a tiny jingle sound. David's entire face turned red. He was so cute it made me melt. My hands slid downward. A soft groan escaped his throat. He looked up at me, his eyes growing hazy and veiled with a layer of mist. That face, combined with that expression. I gave him a firm push. He didn't resist, just fell back onto the bed. He looked completely at my mercy. Honey, I whispered. A smile played on my lips as my hand traced the lines of his abs. You're so cute. The next morning, I was back on that thread. The OP had posted an update at 2 a.m. My wife really does love my body. But I've thought it through. It's okay if that's all for now. I'll slowly make her fall completely in love with me. I was surprised to see so many people commenting in the middle of the night. That timestamp, bro, did you just get done, you know? OP replied, yeah. My wife said I was really cute. Am I the only one who wants to know how hot the OP is? Post a pic. OP replied, sorry, my body is for my wife's eyes only. But I work out every day, and to capture her heart, I'm going to keep working out relentlessly. The moment things turned dirty, everyone lost their minds. I kept scrolling as I walked out of the bedroom. David had already made breakfast. He served my plate and set it in front of me. I ate while reading the comments, chuckling every now and then. "Honey," David said suddenly. "What time will you be home today?" I thought for a moment. "I had a meeting. I'll probably have to work late. You can eat dinner without me." David just nodded and didn't say anything else. Suddenly, a notification popped up on the thread. It jumped to the OP's latest comment. "I don't think my wife really likes me. Except for when we're in bed, she's so cold to me. It was the same at breakfast just now. She didn't seem to want to talk to me at all." I suddenly felt a little sorry for the guy. His wife was all lust, no love. The comments section was buzzing. "Why are you so whiny? Can't you act like a man? What kind of guy just orbits around a woman all day?" OP replied, "The word girly has never been an insult to me. It represents gentleness, empathy, and affection, qualities I'm not ashamed to have as a man who loves his partner. In fact, I think they're precious. I posted here seeking an emotional connection with my wife. I don't think cherishing your spouse is something to be mocked. If you can only affirm your masculinity by belittling feminine traits, that strikes me as incredibly immature." It was the longest thing the OP had ever written. I was stunned. I silently gave his comment an upvote. My sensitive guy had his values straight. After breakfast, I headed to the office. David and I had a marriage of convenience, really, but our relationship had always been decent. We hardly ever fought. He wasn't a fan of working late and would bring his work home. I, on the other hand, preferred to finish everything at the office before coming home, unless I was really swamped. The first thing on the agenda was a morning meeting to get updates from various departments. Leo Vance's next film is with an internationally acclaimed director. If all goes well, he could be in the running for the film festival at the end of the year. I nodded. The meeting was about to wrap up. During lunch, I couldn't resist opening that thread again. It had become my guilty pleasure. The post already had hundreds of replies. Maybe he's got a great body and nothing else to offer? Not entirely wrong. OP replied, "My wife often says I'm handsome, and I'd say I'm successful in my career, but I think she's even more amazing. She's so beautiful and sexy when she's in work mode, but that's also when she ignores me the most. Anyway, I have plenty of good qualities. I'm not useless." "What does your wife do? You think she might have found some boy toy on the side?" OP replied, "No way. My wife's job requires her to interact with a lot of glamorous people, so she's kind of an industry insider, but I trust her. Her standards are way too high for her to fall for anyone else." I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. This guy managed to compliment himself while praising his wife. Still, his wife's job sounded a lot like mine. A little insecure, aren't we? I took a sip of my coffee and shook my head instinctively. The OP could really learn a thing or two from David. He'd once walked in on one of my clients confessing his feelings for me, and he remained perfectly calm, solid as a rock. Of course, we had signed a prenup. No cheating allowed. I let out a sigh without realizing it. That was just like him, always poised, always handling everything perfectly. But it also meant I could never quite figure him out. Whether he had any real feelings for this marriage that started as a business deal. I decided to stop thinking about things I couldn't figure out. As long as David and I were compatible in one particular area, that was good enough. I kept scrolling through the thread. A lot of people were criticizing the OP. They all seemed to think he was a disgrace to men everywhere. Checked his post history. Got so grossed out I had to leave. Can all you hopeless romantics just disappear? OP replied, "First, what I post is my business, not yours. Second, I'm not a hopeless romantic. My wife and I are legally married. We're past the dating stage." That user was probably speechless. They replied, "Fine, you're a hopeless wife addict, a hopeless marriage addict. Happy now?" OP replied, "Yes." My curiosity was piqued. I clicked on the OP's profile. Every single post was about his wife. For example, my wife said good morning to me today. Being married is the best. My wife loves touching me. That's a form of love, right? Some guy confessed his feelings to my wife today. Ha. Not as handsome, not as tall, and not as rich as me, and he thinks he can be with my wife? Even said he'd be her side piece. Am I dead? I'm so pissed. I scrolled through a long list of these, my jaw dropping. I'd never seen such an over-the-top doting husband online before. What a novelty. I scrolled all the way back to a post from a year ago. That must have been when they got married. How should I address my wife now that we're married? Babe? Baby? Honey? Darling? Or just wife? I'd scared. Can't you just use her name? Why all the complicated pet names? Finally, I reached the bottom of his profile. The very first post was, married the love of my life. I kind of want to cry. The accompanying photo was a close-up of a hand wearing a wedding ring. Huh. Wait a minute. Isn't that the same wedding ring David and I have? A ridiculous thought popped into my head. I instinctively lifted my left hand and stared at the ring on my finger. David had this design custom made. There was no way there was an identical one out there. No, it couldn't be, right? I took a deep breath and zoomed in on the picture. The ring in the photo was a simpler style than mine, but I could tell at a glance that it was part of a matching set with mine. So this lovesick OP was David. I stared at the screen, a storm of emotions brewing inside me. It felt like my entire worldview had been shattered. I went back and reread the posts on his profile. Things I vaguely remembered now lined up perfectly. I slowly leaned back in my chair, picked up my cold coffee, and took a long gulp. In a year of marriage, I had never realized David was that kind of person. It was so different from the man I thought I knew. I sat in silence for a long time before I finally accepted it. So the wife who only likes his body was me? My brow furrowed as I thought it over. I couldn't deny that I really liked his body. But what made him think that was the only thing I liked about him? I just thought it was a fun little part of our dynamic as a couple. I never imagined he saw it differently. After a lot of thought, I finally came to a conclusion. I probably hadn't given him enough reassurance. So that night, when I was so tired I could barely lift my arms, I wrapped them around his neck. I whispered in his ear, David, I really like you. After I said it, I watched him closely, not wanting to miss a single flicker of emotion. A flash of surprise crossed his eyes before he leaned down and kissed me. His hands didn't stop moving. Well, looks like another sleepless night. The next morning, the first thing I did was check the thread. Surely David would believe I liked more than just his body now, right? As expected, he had posted another update in the middle of the night. My wife told me she likes me tonight. I was so happy I didn't know what to do, so I could only repay her with my body. It feels like a dream, I love my wife so much, she's the best. The comments section was a mixed bag. Did she say it after, you know? OP replied, how did you know? You really believe what a woman says in bed? You're so naive. Your wife was just telling you what you wanted to hear. My smile froze on my face. What was wrong with these people? Were they trying to stir up trouble? I couldn't believe David actually fell for it. Although he tried to argue. No way. My wife definitely likes me. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said it. But after a few back and forths with the commenters, his replies slowly changed to, I guess that means I just have to try harder. It's okay if she doesn't like me now. Liking my body is a start. I'll slowly find my way into her heart. After reading the latest replies, I sighed. It was going to be a long road. Looks like I needed to be more direct. So, during breakfast, I made a point of putting down my phone and financial reports. That's when I noticed that everything on the table was something I loved. David had always been the one to cook all our meals. I never realized how well he knew me. A warmth spread through my chest. David handed me a bowl of steamed eggs with shrimp. The temperature is just right. I glanced at him. It was still hard to believe that someone who seemed so cold on the outside would secretly post on forums for help. It was kind of adorable. I smiled and said softly, "Thanks, honey." He froze for a second, and his ears slowly turned bright red. I ducked my head to hide my smile. He was so innocent. After breakfast, I grabbed my bag to head out. I took 2 steps and then stopped. David stood up. "Did you forget something?" I turned around and beckoned to him. David walked over. I grabbed his tie and pulled. Caught off guard, he stumbled forward. I stood on my toes and planted a kiss on his lips. "Goodbye kiss." My assistant placed my lunch on my desk. I thought for a moment, then took out my phone and snapped a picture. I found David's contact and sent it to him. "Have you eaten yet?" I even added a cute little cat emoji. David replied instantly. He also sent a picture of his lunch. "Just eating now." I smiled and typed back. "It doesn't look as good as yours." At the top of the chat, the typing indicator flickered on and off. A moment later, his message came through. "Then, I can make it for you from now on." I could just imagine the look on his face as he typed that. No need for that. Our CEO has to focus on his work. I thought for a second and decided to go for the kill. "Honey, do you miss me?" "Yeah." "That's it?" "Just yeah." "I miss you." I smirked, feeling playful. "What part of me do you miss?" Again, the long pause with the typing indicator. "Every part." I sent him a voice message. "See you tonight, honey." David instantly replied with okay. But he immediately deleted it. And sent a new message. "Okay, see you tonight." I closed the chat and went to the bookmarked thread. Sure enough, David had posted an update. My wife didn't look at her reports or her phone this morning. She just talked to me the whole time. I'm so happy. She also called me honey. It's the first time she's ever called me that outside the bedroom. Her voice was so soft, so cute. My wife seems so different. Is she starting to like me? The comments were all over the place. She calls you honey once and you lose your mind? Pathetic. OP replied, and I love it. I can't with you and your wife obsession. She gives you an inch of sunshine and you act like it's the whole damn sun. If she ever actually left you, you'd probably jump off a building, wouldn't you? OP replied, please don't curse my marriage. We will never get divorced. I laughed out loud. You should give her the cold shoulder for a few days. Play hard to get. That's how you gain the upper hand. OP replied, no. I could never do anything to hurt my wife. That evening, my mom called and asked us to come over for dinner. David and I went together. Halfway through the meal, my mom brought up her favorite topic. This soup is delicious. My dad nodded in agreement. My mom cleared her throat dramatically. It's just that the squash is a little old. The moment she said that, I knew what was coming next. And sure enough. You're not getting any younger. Why aren't you two planning on having kids yet? Work is important, but you need to focus on your little family, too. I glanced at her before looking back down at my plate. We're not in a rush. We're happy with just the two of us. David, sitting next to me, tensed up slightly. My mom turned her attention to him. David, do you feel the same way? He forced a smile and nodded. Yes. On the way home, David was unusually quiet. I raised an eyebrow and took his hand. It was ice cold. I frowned. Your hands are freezing. Are you cold? No. He seemed normal, but my gut told me something was wrong. That night, the thread was updated again. My wife said she doesn't want kids. Does she just not want to have kids with me? Does she not want any other ties in this marriage? I knew it. Whatever, if she doesn't want them, she doesn't want them. As long as she stays by my side, that's enough. I knew it. I smiled helplessly. A mischievous idea suddenly popped into my head. I wanted to see what David would do next. Would he just accept it? Or would he fight for what he wanted? Today was our company's anniversary, and we were holding a gala. David and I attended together. Several people came over to toast us, and I accepted each one. After they left, David asked me in a low voice, "Are you tired?" I was taken aback for a second, then shook my head. "I'm okay." He nodded. "I'll take care of the drinks from now on. Your period is coming up, so you should drink less." My eyes softened, and a wave of warmth washed over me. "Okay. Chloe." A voice came from behind us. David and I turned around at the same time. It was Leo Vance. He was dressed in a stylish, deep V black suit, his hair and makeup impeccable. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Well, look who it is. What's a big star like you doing here?" He sauntered over and gave me a light air hug. "It's the anniversary gala. You think I'd miss it?" I smiled and introduced him to David. "This is one of our company's stars, and the first artist I ever managed personally, Leo Vance." David's expression was calm as he looked at him. "Hello. And this is my husband, David." Leo extended his hand, a smile playing on his lips. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Mr. Thorne." David shook his hand. After that, a few other celebrities came over to say hello. There was even a male trainee the company was currently grooming. I scanned the group, a lineup of handsome, well-built guys. I nodded in satisfaction. After dealing with them, I realized David had been quiet for a while. I turned to look at him. His expression was as composed as ever. But the knuckles of the hand holding his champagne flute were white, and the hand holding mine tightened for a split second. I had a bad feeling. Just then, Leo walked back over. He smoothly picked up the conversation. "Chloe, I forgot to tell you. I've officially been cast in the director's new film. I'll come to the office tomorrow to go over the details with you." I raised an eyebrow. That was fast. "Of course." Leo smiled, then looked at David. "Mr. Thorne, Chloe is such a workaholic. When she was my manager, she was constantly running around, handling things for me day and night. Now that you're here to take care of her, we're all really happy for her." His words were both tactful and sincere. A faint smile touched David's lips, his voice steady and unreadable. "That's just how she is. Very responsible. And thank you all for looking out for her at the company." After a few more pleasantries, Leo excused himself. We were alone again, and an invisible tension filled the air. David's hand, intertwined with mine, tightened for an imperceptible moment before relaxing again. It happened so fast I almost thought I'd imagined it. I think I understood. I looped my arm through his and leaned against him affectionately. Looking up, I whispered in his ear. "Honey, I'm a little tired. Want to go home?" David looked down at me. The frost in his eyes melted into a pool of soft ripples. He wrapped an arm around my waist, steadying me. "Okay. Let's go home." The moment we got home, David's lips were on mine. My bare shoulders became the target of his kisses and bites. My legs felt so weak I could barely stand. He swept me up into his arms and strode into the bedroom. Another $1 million dress ended up in a crumpled heap on the floor. Late that night, I stepped out of the bathroom. I was ready to collapse into bed and sleep. But David moved closer again. He tilted my chin up with his fingertips and gave me a deep kiss. It was different from usual. It was filled with a thick sense of possession and aggression. I frowned, trying to push him away, but I couldn't. He held me down, taking me again and again. He was fierce and relentless. My legs were shaking uncontrollably. He leaned in and nibbled on my earlobe. "Baby, tell me you love me." I bit my lip hard, refusing to say it. He quickened his pace, and soft moans escaped my throat. All night long, he made me say I love you over and over again. The sky was just beginning to lighten when I finally drifted off to sleep. I slept until 1 in the afternoon. David was no longer beside me. I reached out a hand. His side of the bed was cold. There was a thermos and a note on the nightstand. It was in David's handwriting. "I already told your assistant you're taking the day off. Just rest at home. There's breakfast on the table, remember to heat it up. I'm heading to the office." I angrily crumpled the note into a ball and threw it in the trash. I don't know what got into him last night. He had no self-control. Now, every little movement sent a jolt of soreness through my waist and legs. I thought about it for a long time but couldn't figure it out. Everything had been normal at the beginning of the night. How did he turn into a completely different person later on? Frowning, I decided to check that thread to see if I could find any clues. As soon as I opened it, I saw last night's update. It was posted a little after 1 a.m. Right around the time we finished the first round. "I met a rival for my wife's affection today. They seemed really close, and it pissed me off. But I think my wife noticed I was jealous because she asked if I wanted to go home. I love my wife even more now. My wife is so cute and smells amazing all over." I scrolled for a while before I found the reason for David's mood swing. It was a comment. "Take it from someone who's been around the block a few times. Your wife is definitely seeing someone else." OP replied, "My wife loves me. Stop trying to cause trouble." Haha, you don't get it, do you? The reason your wife has been so nice to you lately is because she feels guilty. She definitely did something to wrong you and now she's trying to make it up to you. Don't be so naive. David didn't reply to that comment. But there were a lot of nested replies agreeing with the person. I was speechless. I was about to call David when my phone rang. It was my assistant. I answered, and she sounded frantic. "Chloe. This is bad. You and Leo Vance were photographed last night." I opened X, and sure enough, my name and Leo's were trending. I clicked on it. A gossip account had posted 2 GIFs. The first showed Leo and me talking, looking at each other. The second was shot from a closer angle, making it look like Leo had his arm around me. I frowned. That was when David had gone to get the car, and I was waiting for him. Leo had just come over to chat for a minute. The gossip account's caption was even more dramatic. "From obscurity to the top, who isn't shipping this?" The comments were full of Leo's fans demanding that the company issue a statement. And then there were the people who were actually shipping us. Even through the blurry pic, you can tell Chloe is gorgeous. I approve this marriage. Industry insider here. CW was Leo's first manager. She personally requested to manage him. All those amazing opportunities your boy got early in his career? She fought for every single one. Looks like Leo is marrying up. Chloe has the looks, the career, and the family background. OMG, they're such a power couple. This is my new favorite ship. Leo's ideal type from an old interview sounds exactly like Chloe. Go look it up, girls. To make matters worse, someone had already created a fan account for us. There were even some fan-made edit videos with pink, bubbly filters. I told my assistant to have the PR department draft a clarification immediately. And I told my secretary to get the security footage from the hotel entrance last night. With this blowing up, David must have seen it. I thought for a moment and decided to call him. He picked up right away. "David. Yeah. Did you see what's online?" I asked softly. He didn't answer. The air felt thick, and the only sound was our faint breathing. "Look," I said, breaking the silence. I have another meeting. Let's talk about it when I get home. His voice was rushed. Okay, he said, and then hung up. I stared at my phone, the dial tone buzzing in my ear. I didn't go to work today. Instead, I decided to cook a nice meal to surprise David. After creating a dish of scrambled eggs and tomatoes that was both too salty and too sour, I completely abandoned that idea. I humbly ordered takeout. The clock ticked past 7 in the evening. David still wasn't back. Was he that busy? I frowned, thinking about calling his assistant. Just then, a text from him came through. Something urgent came up and I have to go on a business trip. I might not be back for a while. I've already told the housekeeper what to do. Please take care of yourself. It's getting colder, remember to bring a jacket. My frown deepened. What a coincidence. He just happened to have a business trip. Something felt off. He hadn't even come home to pack. How could it be that urgent? I opened the thread. I saw his update from an hour ago. I think my wife is going to divorce me, what do I do? Who said anything about a divorce? I think she really does have someone she likes. I know loving someone means letting them go, but I don't think I can be that generous. I lied to my wife and told her I was on a business trip. I'm actually in a hotel room. I don't want to hear her bring up breaking up. I feel like crying. It was both infuriating and hilarious. What kind of drama was David inventing in his head? The internet commenters were, as always, a diverse bunch. If you're so magnanimous, then let her go. Watch them be all happy together. What are you crying for? Man up. OP replied, what does being a man have to do with it? When your heart breaks, you cry. It's natural. To be honest, I kind of wanted to see David cry. Are you a saint? Why should the main spouse ever step aside for the side piece? That seemed to snap David out of it. OP replied, you're right. I'm going to the gym right now. I have to make my wife fall in love with my body all over again. I face-bombed. David's thought process was one of a kind. He basically directed, starred in, and produced his own little tragedy. I called his assistant and asked where David was. At first, he hemmed and hawed, refusing to tell me. Did David tell you not to tell me? After some threats and bribes, he finally caved. I didn't rush to find David. I decided to let him stew in his own wild imagination for a night. He has a mouth, but he won't use it. So stubborn. He deserved to be jealous. I didn't contact him all day. David, however, sent me several pictures. One was of him asking me to choose a tie, casually showing off his Adam's apple and collarbone. Another was a picture of his lunch, with his well-defined, veiny hands subtly in the frame. And one was just a straight-up picture of his abs. Is there any difference from before? I didn't reply to a single message. So he went to the thread to complain. Is my phone broken? I'm not getting any messages from my wife. Phone's not broken. My wife really doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I went through the other guy's social media. All my friends say he's not as handsome as me. Damn it, what does my wife even see in him? I want to go home to my wife, but I told her I was on a business trip. I regret it so much. I smirked and turned off my phone. I'd let him sweat a little longer. By 8 p.m., David had sent a total of 28 messages. 5 of them were pictures not so subtly showing off his body. I hadn't replied to any of them. Let him worry. After my bath, my assistant told me the statement and the security footage had been released. I opened my personal account and posted something too. Suddenly, my bedroom door was thrown open. I looked up, startled, to see a familiar figure. David's hair was slightly disheveled, his tie loosened, a far cry from his usual perfect appearance. What are you? Before I could finish, he strode over and pulled me into his arms. He smelled of the cool night air. I can't take it anymore. He buried his face in my neck, his voice hoarse. Honey, please don't leave me, okay? He cupped my face, his kiss urgent and demanding. It was both pleading and possessive. He only let go when I was about to run out of breath. Our hot breaths mingled in the air. The corners of his eyes were red as he asked in a low, husky voice. Honey, let's not get a divorce, okay? I smirked and looked up at him. I thought you were on a business trip, Mr. Thorne. What's the matter? Project wrapped up. Finally decide to come home? I paused, then continued. And another thing. When did I ever say I wanted a divorce? David froze, staring at me blankly. His eyes were still moist. Huh? Look at me, David, I said seriously. I'm not going to leave you. I never would have, I'm not now, and I never will. Are you satisfied with that answer? His pupils dilated, and a look of pure joy spread across his face. But just as quickly, it vanished. He lowered his gaze and said softly. You and Leo Vance. There's nothing between me and him. We have a purely professional relationship. He looked stunned, as if he'd been hit by a wave of overwhelming good news. He leaned in to kiss me again. I immediately pressed a hand against his chest, stopping him. But my tone shifted. My gaze fell on his Adam's apple, which bobbed nervously. Lying to me about a business trip, and not using your words, we need to have a serious talk about that. His body went rigid. He looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. I slowly raised my hand, my fingertips tracing a line down from his cheek. They brushed against his tense muscles. His breathing grew heavy. I pulled my hand back and took a step away. I sat down on the edge of the bed, perfectly composed, and tilted my chin at him. Strip. David's face exploded in a blush. Even his ears were blood red. You're not going to? Fine. I made a move to get up. He quickly grabbed my arm. I'll do it. David took a deep breath, and his long fingers began unbuttoning his shirt, one by one. The lighting in the room was soft and intimate. A faint pink blush spread across his skin from embarrassment. My own breath hitched. I had to admit, no matter how many times I saw it, his body still had a fatal attraction for me. I beckoned to him with my finger. Come here. He obediently knelt before me. I gently squeezed his earlobe and whispered. What do you call me now? Honey. I squeezed a little harder. Wrong. Master. Sunlight streamed through the gap in the curtains. Something was tickling my neck. I opened my eyes to see David lying beside me. One arm was wrapped around my waist, his head buried in my neck, nuzzling me like a little puppy. I shifted, and he immediately looked up. Honey, you're awake? His voice was raspy from sleep but full of excitement. I rubbed my eyes. Why are you so happy this early in the morning? He showed me his phone screen. It was on my post from last night. Chloe Thorne v. Happily married, and very much in love with my husband. At David Thorne. I couldn't believe it had hundreds of thousands of likes overnight. Happy now? David nodded, kissing my cheek. I want to post a picture. Go ahead. At first, I didn't pay much attention to what picture he was posting. It wasn't until my assistant called me that I found out. It was a picture of our hands clasped together, our wedding rings gleaming in the light. The comments section under this post was buzzing. A true power couple. Ah. They're so perfect for each other. This is what I call a power couple. So sweet, I'm obsessed. I blinked and asked my assistant. Is there a problem? Chloe, you need to see this. My assistant pulled up another post. Someone had saved the photo and put it side by side with the wedding ring picture from a popular thread on a relationship forum. I always thought David Thorne's wedding ring looked familiar, then I realized I'd seen it on that doting husband's forum posts. It's identical. So, Mr. Thorne is the doting husband? The post went on to list a ton of other similarities. Besides the ring, there was a detailed timeline comparison. It even pulled quotes from the OP's old posts and compared the details. The comments section absolutely exploded. Holy crap. So the OP I've been following for so long is David Thorne? David Thorne seems so cool and aloof, but secretly he's this adorable. Ah. What a contrast. Chloe, you're eating well. At Chloe Thorne. David Thorne, is it really you? Ha 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 ha. David Thorne doting husband. The hashtag instantly shot to the top of the trending list. It had a bright red breaking tag next to it. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. So, David hadn't been exposed to me, but to the entire country. My assistant hesitated, then finally asked. So, is it really him? I nodded. Her eyes widened, a look of I knew it, my ship is real. On her face. Alright, have someone take the topic down for now. David must be dying of embarrassment. Sure enough, when I got home, David was already sitting on the sofa. He heard my footsteps, looked up immediately, and his eyes were filled with panic. Honey. His voice was dry, laced with obvious guilt and anxiety. I didn't know posting that picture would. I walked over to him, not giving him a chance to finish. I leaned down, cupped his face in my hands, and gently smoothed his furrowed brow with my thumbs. What are you afraid of? I teased. Well, now the whole world knows that the great David Thorne is obsessed with his wife. David's face turned beet red. You don't think it's humiliating? I think I caused trouble for you. Humiliating? I raised an eyebrow, leaning in closer. I think it's kind of cute. He froze, staring at me blankly. I wrapped my arms around his neck and chuckled. Besides, I've known about your posts for a while now. David's body went completely still, his pupils constricting in shock. His voice was filled with disbelief. You knew? I nodded. Why else do you think that every time you posted an update, I was always able to give you the perfect response? His eyes suddenly glistened with tears. He threw his arms around me and pulled me into a tight hug. Honey. He buried his face deep in my neck, his voice muffled. I love you. I love you, too. Epilogue. What do I do if my wife only seems to like my body? So is it really David Thorne? Mr. Thorne, I gave you advice on this thread. Can I get a consulting fee? OP replied, DM me. OMG, for real? I want money too. So is Mr. Thorne going to keep updating this? I need to know what happens next, lol. OP replied, I will if my wife says it's okay. I spent the whole afternoon reading this. This doting husband is hilarious. Mr. Thorne, I don't need money, but I was wondering if your company is hiring? Ivy League, joint bachelor's master's degree. I'll take any position. OP replied, you can come in for an interview on Monday. OMG, fortune favors the bold. Mr. Thorne, can you tell Chloe that I want an autographed photo of Leo Vance? QAQ. LOL, how dare you ask that? Mr. Thorne sees Leo as his mortal enemy. LMAO, so did Mr. Thorne see that last comment and just deliberately ignore it? Mr. Thorne slacking off at work. Is Chloe there with you? OP replied, it's my day off. She's here. OMG, a surprise dose of sweetness. I bet Chloe is laughing right now. Mr. Thorne is probably holding his wife with a straight face while typing, but on the inside, he's totally ecstatic, right? OP replied, yeah. Nope, I'm gonna pass out from the cuteness. Someone please write fanfiction about this and feed me. On my way to the kitchen now. Wait for me, guys. OP, alright, everyone, stop teasing him. I'm confiscating his phone now. Holy crap, is that Chloe? Aw, queen, I love you so much. Came here after it went viral and this is so sweet. Wishing you two all the best. OP replied, "Thank you. We will."